SMU at Louisville. It's an ACC showdown. That's right. SMU is in the ACC. Did you forget? No, you didn't forget. Louisville favored by 6.5 here, over under set at 58. Vegas is thinking there's going to be some points scored in this one. I just broke down Louisville this past week because we did the matchup where Louisville was going to be traveling to Notre Dame, and we talked about it in our top 25 segment that you can go find on our homepage there. If I was to bet that game all over again, I'd take Louisville again in that Notre Dame game. Because I'm not to say it was a fluke necessarily, because Louisville's the one that turned the football over. But 3 turnovers there in the first quarter. I just don't know that Louisville could go replicate having that bad of a first quarter game. Louisville is the better football team all around here, but SMU is playing with a chip on their shoulder. And this isn't the SMU team really that we looked at in the preseason, because the one we looked at in the preseason was one that was led by Preston Stone. And Preston Stone, while he started that first game and played through the first game, was pulled, and Jennings has been the starter ever since. And it's been a pretty good little experiment for SMU and Kevin Jennings. 63.4% passing, not bad. 733 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So Kevin Jennings has put on a pretty good show so far from SMU, coming off the fresh victory over Florida State, where SMU was able to stomp Florida State at home. It was said that SMU was in line to receive literally millions of dollars in donations if they could win that football game there at home. They did it. And SMU is a program that is on the rise. Now, in this matchup particularly, I'm a little bit worried. I watched SMU the very first game of the season, and granted, this was with Preston Stone at quarterback, really struggle at Nevada. The rest of this season, SMU hasn't played a road game. They've played at home 4 games in a row now and haven't played on the road since week 1, and that was at Nevada, who somehow hung in that football game and almost won it. SMU ended up winning 29-24. Since then, played something called HCU. I don't even know what the hell that is. 59-7. Lost to BYU 18-15. Beat TCU 66-42, and then beat Florida State 42-16. Brashard Smith, your running back, 70 carries, 509 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7.3 average. This team's ran the ball really well this year. RJ Maryland, your leading receiver, who's actually a tight end, 16 receptions, 221 yards, 3 touchdowns. Look, this has been a team that has spread the football all around to a bunch of different wide receivers and just a bunch of different tight ends this season. So they've been able to get really creative offensively, haven't relied on necessarily one playmaker in the passing game. It kind of built the run game around Brashard Smith and Kevin Jennings' ability to kind of move around and take off some. The defense is something that concerns me a little bit in this football game. Anybody who gives up 42 points to TCU and 24 points to Nevada, that's gonna concern me a little bit. Louisville on their side of things, Tyler Shook transferred in the offseason. It's been a whole lot of up and down. We've never seen him play more than 7 games in a season. He's approaching his expiration date for this year. Let's see if he can get through it without getting hurt or Wally pipped like he has in the past. But he's looked good so far. Minus that first quarter, again, like I said, against Notre Dame. He's looked really good. Colin Lacey made his return to Louisville last week. That was a long-awaited return of the injured wide receiver. Ja'Cory Brooks is as your go-to guy there in that offense from the wide receiver position. Really like those 2 guys. And then defensively for Louisville, before headed into last week, which I haven't had a chance to compile all the new stats yet, but this was a team that was top 20 in the country in rush yards per game allowed, top 15 in yards per rush allowed, top 15 in defensive scoring at 11 points per game. They had sacked the quarterback 9 times. This was all before last week. So this has been a sound team for Louisville pretty much all the way around. How they match up with SMU will be pretty interesting, I feel like, in this football game. I'm going to do some more digging on SMU this week, and we'll talk about this game Tuesday on the previews and predictions show that we'll do live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. This will be one of the ones we break down. Mason, what are your thoughts on SMU at Louisville? It's an ACC matchup. Louisville lost last week, but it wasn't an ACC loss. SMU undefeated in the ACC at this point, and a new kid on the block. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. At first thought, I'm thinking Louisville in the points. Right away. I like what Louisville's been able to do. I thought that they fought pretty hard against Notre Dame. Just got down. By too much too early, and this isn't a Louisville team that can really just come back and win football games when they're down a ton of points. So to me, I do feel like they're a slightly better team than Notre Dame. And so when you look at SMU and you see kind of what they've done throughout the year, it's easy to pick Louisville in this football game. But what you have to realize is Louisville's just coming off of a game against Notre Dame, a very physical team specifically on the defensive side of the football. Yeah. I wonder about the health of Louisville and, where they're at health-wise. So far, there's only one player listed as out. There's a few that are questionable, but you never know with these kind of nagging small injuries where guys are just banged up and not 100%, how that's going to affect that football game. It'll be interesting to see. I'm with you. I want to break this down a little bit more, but I mean, at first glance, the defenses are winning here. SMU's defense, 9th in the country in rushing yards allowed. They are 11th in the country in yards per rush, 13th in the country in total yards given up. And then the Louisville defense on the other side is 20th in the country in total yards, 26th in rushing yards, and 37th in passing yards per game. So kind of an even matchup when you look defense to defense. And it's actually kind of surprising that SMU's defense kind of comes out to that statistically, given they gave up so many points to TCU. Looked pretty good against a Florida State team that is absolutely reeling right now. So that definitely helps your offensive stats. Really held BYU to a pretty low score at only 18 points they gave up. That's pretty impressive. But ultimately, to me, look, this game's going to be pretty close. I do think that SMU has had an easier schedule so far to get here.
Yeah.
To this game, I think that Louisville, the win a couple weeks ago against Georgia Tech, kind of really gives me confidence in picking Louisville to win this game right now. Like I said, I do want to dig into this a little bit deeper, but I feel like SMU has really benefited from an easy schedule so far this year. When FSU, or I guess when BYU is your toughest opponent so far through 5 games, it's a pretty easy schedule. And BYU, I think the jury is still out. Obviously they're the best team in the Big 12 right now as far as, when you look at their overall record. But I don't feel like SMU has been challenged like they're going to be challenged this Saturday. Give me Louisville to win. I don't know if I picked them to cover yet or not, but we'll have our prediction show on Tuesday night where I'll lay out my final prediction for this game.
Yeah, early look at it. What I really like for Louisville and this offense in this matchup is Louisville has got like a whole stable of backs that we really didn't know were going to be able to contribute for them this season. Isaac Brown, Duke Watson, Kewan Brown, all 3 of those guys that are leading your rushing attack so far this season are true freshmen. And then you've got Donald Chaney that had came over in the offseason from Miami, and he he's an experienced guy. Maurice Turner, he was injured. I'm not sure that he'll be back or not, but he's a junior. He was kind of your experienced guy. You've got 5 backs that are ready to take the football, and Louisville was able to run for 131 yards on Notre Dame. So what are they able to do to this SMU defense? That's kind of my question here. I think Louisville is going to be able to go to run first, and they're going to be able to hit the play action in this football game and set up some deep passing game for Shook and company and those good wide receivers that you've got in Brooks and Colin Lacey.